Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, I think everything is all right. I think everything is all right. All right. Got a few more seconds here before we go live, and then it is going to be tons of fun. Tons of fun. What's going on? It's Sabo Shen here. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great Friday. And guess what? Today is Friday, the night before UFC Fight Night. If you guys know me at all, there's only one sport that I follow, and that sport is the UFC. I know I live in the Bay Area where the Golden State Warriors, the 49ers, and the SF Giants are strong professional leagues. But for me, the only sport I watch is the UFC. I didn't even know who the new 49ers quarterback is. Apparently, he got a $100 million contract, and I had no idea. Well, if you guys love the UFC, then come join me. If you guys don't, then the next 9 minutes and 45 seconds probably won't be that interesting to you. But where is my ganja? Okay, well, here it is. I saw a little bit of that. Mr. Tassel, hello, hello. And today I have some of this right here. Let's see if it gets in focus right here. This is some Buddha's Passion. This is from my good friend Adam Schneider over at Wolf Organics. And you might notice right away that his color is a little bit darker. So just because it's darker doesn't mean it's not high quality cannabinoids. So let's go ahead and get this in the machine. Let's get the first hit in, and then we could get started with the UFC analysis. All right, guys, here we go. All right, check it out. I'm not going to go through the whole card. It is a UFC Fight Night, meaning that the first or the top of the card probably pretty strong, the undercard not as strong. So there's 3 fights that I want to talk about. Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez, Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stephens, and then the one that I'm going to start with, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tisha Torres. So the interesting thing about this female fight is it is 2 of my favorite female fighters. I do love Joanna a little bit more than Tisha Torres, but the interesting thing here is that they both spent time at ATT down in Florida, training down there. So I'm sure they are somewhat familiar with each other. And in addition to that, Tisha Torres is now training with the current champion, Rose Namajunas. And Rose Namajunas has 2 wins over Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The first fight, it looked like, who knows? It was a first-round KO. Maybe she got lucky. But in the second fight, I think she really showed that she was on the same striking level as Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and maybe even a little bit better. I had her winning the fight, even though Joanna had a few good rounds. But I think Rose Namajunas proved that she actually is the better fighter. And training with Tisha Torres, obviously, just because you could beat someone doesn't mean that the person you train with could beat that person. But I'm sure that there is a lot of good information that they're discussing back and forth about what Tisha Torres can do against Jędrzejczyk. By the way, These are our sponsors, Natural Cabana Coconut Water. You can see the link right there, by Pulse Direct. You can just have it delivered to your house straight up, they do a pretty good job of delivering them to my house when I need them, and it's really great that I don't need to leave the house to get my coconut water. All right, so let's see. Okay, so back to the fight. So the only thing that really kind of, the two X factors here, if we take the X factors out of consideration, I would just say Joanna Jędrzejczyk all day. But she is coming off 2 straight losses. She doesn't look like her confidence has been broken, but at the same time, I don't know if she has learned the lessons that she needed to learn from her 2 losses. She really felt like she won, and without learning from your mistakes, I don't know if she will shore up any of the holes in her game. Now, on Tecia Torres' side, I do think that Tecia is really good at implementing her game plan, but she is very, very small for the 115-pound weight division. And if Jessica Andrade could not bully Joanna Jędrzejczyk with that frame, I do not think Tecia Torres will as well. And Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I think her speed is enough to keep up with Tecia Torres, and I believe this will be a first round, I will give this a decision. Joanna Jędrzejczyk by decision. So if you guys have any comments or questions, or if you guys have some opinions on these fights, would love to hear them as well. All right, so the next fight is actually, I'm almost excited for the co-main event as I am for the main event. So in the next fight, we have Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stephens. So this is a really exciting fight, and just like the Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight, if this was a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have easily picked Jose Aldo. But now, both of these guys are at a crossroads in their career. Jose Aldo has lost, I believe, 2 in a row. Jeremy Stephens is on a 3-fight win streak. The technical advantage definitely goes to Jose Aldo, but one cannot help but imagine Jeremy Stephens just melting him with one giant uppercut. And if you kind of look at the momentum, this is really a good time for Jeremy Stephens to be fighting Jose Aldo, because if there was a time to beat Jose Aldo while he still has name value but could be physically sliding just a bit, now would be the best time to pick him off. So but with that said, I just think Jose Aldo has too many tools. He's faster. He has better defense. The only one area where I think that Jeremy Stephens could win is if he makes it a firefight. He makes it a ugly brawl. And Jose Aldo, if you remember him in the Chad Mendes fight, he's willing to go toe-to-toe with people, and typically he's a very measured fighter, but sometimes, when he's going for the gusto, he just goes for it, and I fear that the current version of Jose Aldo just is not durable enough to get into a firefight with Jeremy Stephens. But with that said, I still do think that there's just way too many skill sets that Jose Aldo has. I do believe he will get a 3rd-round TKO on Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens will have his moment. He may even knock Aldo down, but ultimately, I think Aldo's leg kicks, his more diverse striking skill set, he will wear Jeremy Stephens down. He will give him a lot of offense where his defense cannot solve the puzzle, and ultimately wear him down for a 3rd-round TKO. If that doesn't happen, then I see a Stephens 1st-round KO. All right. I know I was hedging my bets, giving 2 predictions there, but let's go with Aldo TKO in the 3rd. All right, so the last fight is the main event, Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez. This is a rematch from over 1 year ago, and I actually think this is maybe one of the best lightweight fights that they could possibly put on right now. I mean, lightweight is such a smoking division, and I had always thought Eddie Alvarez was the better fighter, but seeing Dustin Poirier improve over the last few fights, it really gave me a lot of confidence that Poirier has kind of gotten past the point where he could be tricked into a brawl. I think where Poirier really succumbed is when he would brawl with opponents and then figure out that he didn't like brawling, like against Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie. I just felt like once he got into the firefight, you could see him starting to lose momentum. And now, I believe he could outfight a lot better. He's able to keep his cool, keep his strategy, and I think that spells really bad news for Eddie Alvarez, who flourishes when it is a firefight. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic here where both guys are kind of like really action fighters, but the person that can, well, more specifically, Dustin Poirier, I believe if Dustin Poirier could fight a disciplined fight and fight the outside fight that he likes, he'll take an easy decision. He may even knock out Eddie Alvarez. But if he gets into the firefight with Eddie Alvarez, then I think it's a pick'em fight, 50-50, you know. So I'm going to, well, I got to make a pick, right? So I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier, second round KO. I just think it's his time. I think that Eddie, while Eddie has a sturdy chin and he recovers quickly, I do think Dustin Poirier, outside of Conor McGregor, might be the single hardest puncher in the division. And I do think that he's going to take a second round KO over the always durable, always exciting, but sometimes inconsistent Eddie Alvarez. All right, so I was able to get out my picks. I hope you guys can impress your friends with this analysis, and hopefully I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Chances are I'm wrong. Actually, I'm horrible at these picks, but they're always fun to do the analysis, and even if my pick is wrong, as long as my analysis is close to being right, I'm pretty happy about that. You know, as long as the fights kind of play out the way I talked about them, then, you know, mixed martial arts is one of those sports where it's really hard to predict, you know, what's going to happen because things could change at an instant, but you could still talk about the narrative of the fight, about the strategies and tactics that will help people win, and hopefully I chose the right ones. With that said, the countdown is down. It's telling me I need to take a rip. All right. Oh, Jason Tassel, Lil Heathen, KO in the first. Hey, that was actually my other pick. So, and Poirier has got the momentum, definitely. I do feel like Alvarez has decent momentum going in as well. What else? What else? Oh, shit. I mean, Australian MMA is on the come up. Israel? Azadanya. Do you guys consider New Zealand fighters as part of the same? I don't know. I apologize. I hope that's not a very ignorant thing to say, but New Zealand fighters and Australian fighters, at least for me, you know, I kind of lump them in the same category coming from that area, but apologies if you guys really delineate, like, America and Canada. But Israel Azadanya, that is one of the guys that I love watching. You know, skinny, tall guy like me, not overly muscular, but kicking everyone's ass. Why wouldn't I like him? All right, guys, I'm out.